I have 3 board certifications and I've spent decades teaching patients how to be healthier. And then I turned 50 and realized that I was one of the most unhealthy people in the room. That wake up call changed everything. In this video, I'm sharing with you 13 of those habits that transformed my health, my energy, and how I feel in my body after 50. This is not a lecture from a physician, it's from a woman over 50 who's learned these lessons the hard way. So, as I mentioned, here I was prescribing lifestyle habits, and I wasn't practicing them. I was working long hours and I would basically run around on caffeine. I'd grab unhealthy foods. I'd skip workouts because I didn't have the time. I wasn't getting enough sleep. And I said, I'll address my health later. Later arrived when I turned 50 and I started noticing things that I could not ignore. Like my energy was not recovering like it used to. Restorative sleep was non existent. And there was a brain fog that was like a constant companion. And these might seem like small things, but as a physician who specializes in lifestyle medicine and brain health, I knew exactly what those small things could become if not addressed. So I stopped waiting for a crisis and I decided I'm going to make some changes to prevent what could become a bad thing. And what happened next actually surprised even me. My sleep improved, my energy stabilized, my mind felt sharper. I finally felt like I was aging on my own terms. So here are the 13 habits that made a difference and the science that explains why, because I believe I can do the same for you. Habit 1 is a daily walk, especially in nature. And this is like my non-negotiable. If you know me well, you know this. Rain or shine, motivated or not, I'm going for a walk. If I can't walk outside, I walk inside. I prefer to walk near a body of water or in a park, but I'll walk wherever I can. A 2022 study actually showed that just 9,800 steps was associated with a 51% lower risk of dementia. And even 3,800 steps showed a 25% reduction. Walking can also improve things like your cardiovascular health, insulin sensitivity, and this is especially when you do it after meals. It can help with your mood because of the endorphin release. It can help with your sleep because it can affect your circadian regulation. When I miss my walk, my day feels off. And the great thing is that walking is simple to start. You don't need a gym membership, right? You just need yourself and a pair of good walking shoes. And you can walk, like I said before, indoors or outdoors. You can break up the walk, do 10 minutes at a time if that's all you have. It's really one of the simplest, most effective things that you can start doing right now. Habit 2 is strength training at least 2 to 3 times per week. After 50, we lose about 1 to 2% of muscle mass per year. This process is called sarcopenia. By 70, that can mean a 30% less muscle mass than you had at age 40. And this can affect your balance, your bone density, your metabolism, your ability to do things you love and to be independent. Strength training actually has a lot of evidence to show that it will slow the aging process. There was a 2022 meta-analysis in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. It found that resistance training 2 or more times a week actually reduced mortality by as much as 23%. You can also reduce fracture risk, insulin sensitivity, and it has been shown to be beneficial for your mood and your cognitive function. And again, you don't need a gym for this. I don't have a gym membership currently, but you can do body weight resistance. You can use resistant bands. You can use free weights. It will definitely help you to feel stronger, more confident, and you'll look better. Habit 3, sleep like it's medicine. I've shared with you before, sleep has been one of my biggest struggles. I haven't conquered it 100%, but it's much better. It's a work in progress. I remember in medical school, late nights were a norm, and we all thought that we could function on less sleep. And boy, were we wrong. I started wearing a wearable several years ago, and I discovered that I was spending very little time in REM sleep. And REM sleep is that stage of sleep where memory is consolidated, there's emotional regulation and cellular repair. So no wonder I was walking around feeling fatigued and feeling like I was in a brain fog all the time. I also discovered that my sleep latency, and this is the amount of time that it takes for you to fall asleep, was usually over an hour, sometimes as much as 2 hours. It really should be about 15 to 20 minutes. I was just in bed and not falling asleep. Here's what the science says about chronic poor sleep after 50. It accelerates cognitive decline. It raises your stress level, disrupts your hormones that affect your hunger, cause you to gain weight, affects your blood pressure, and it's an independent risk factor for higher rate of Alzheimer's. And research out of the University of Rochester showed that the brain lymphatic system, this is the brain clearance system, it works primarily during sleep. So poor sleep means you don't clear out that waste as much as you should. What did I change? I keep my room cool and dark. I limit caffeine after 2 p.m. When my mind is busy, I journal. And definitely that walk, particularly in the evening, helps to wind me down. My sleep is not perfect, but it's definitely much better. Habit 4, eat more plants without becoming obsessive. I'm not asking you to be a vegan. What I'm asking you to do, though, is to put more plants on your plate. That's what I'm asking you to do, because the evidence is clear and overwhelming. The Mind diet, for example, which combines the Mediterranean diet with the DASH eating pattern, has been shown in multiple studies to reduce Alzheimer's risk by as much as 53% if you follow it rigorously, and even 35% for those who follow it moderately. Plant diversity also matters. A 2018 study in the American Gut Project found that people who ate 30 or more different plants per week had a significantly more diverse gut microbiome, and that was associated with better immune function, even better mood, and better metabolic health. So we're looking at fruits, vegetable, grains, not seeds. It's not perfection, but get more of it and get more of a variety. And if you want to learn more about the Mind diet and how it can help you protect your brain health, check out the link below for my ebook on the Mind diet. Habit 5, start growing something. I live in an apartment. I don't have a backyard, but I have 2 indoor hydroponic units, and I have a patio that has a vertical planter and plenty of pots. I grow greens, herbs, peppers, potatoes, unusual varieties of vegetables like purple bok choy that I don't see in my grocery stores. Gardening does several things simultaneously. It provides fresh foods without pesticides. It encourages my intake of vegetables. It improves agility and fine motor coordination. And it actually functions as a form of meditation. There was a 2017 meta-analysis in Preventive Medicine Reports, and it found that gardening was associated with a reduction in depression and anxiety, and even body mass index. Right? Being responsible for living things and watching them grow really has a grounding effect that is hard to replicate in any other way. So grow something. And as I've shared with you, right, you don't need a lot of space. You can even start smaller than I've started. You can get an herb garden on your windowsill. Habit 6, stretch and maintain mobility daily. Longevity is not just about living longer. It's about moving well as you're living longer. Flexibility and mobility decline significantly after 50. A study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that poor flexibility, as measured by the sit and reach test, was associated with increased arterial stiffness, meaning your flexibility can predict your cardiovascular health. Daily stretching, even 10 minutes, combined with balance work like a single leg stance or yoga poses, these can significantly reduce fall risk and prevent injury. Habit 7 is stop waiting for motivation. This one is counterintuitive, but it's so important. Motivation is not a reliable resource. Research in behavioral psychology shows that motivation fluctuates based on many things: your sleep quality, your stress level, your hormone shift, your dopamine availability. So waiting for it as a strategy will consistently fail you. What works instead? Routine, environmental design, external accountability. Recently, when I was falling off of my own exercise habits, instead of waiting for motivation to restart, I created the Move More Challenge inside my community group. Why did I do it? Well, I wanted accountability. I made it so that there was external structure to replace internal motivation, right? Because if I'm waiting for that motivation, I'm never going to get it. And so by posting publicly, I had accountability. I set up the environment that would support my success. And that's what you can do, right? If you're having trouble, get an accountability buddy or get an accountability community. Share your plans publicly and have your friends or family hold you accountable. Habit 8 is to stop comparing yourself to others. This is so important. This is not a soft advice. When I stepped away from a leadership position in healthcare, I totally knew that it made sense for me. Yet, I would still look back at others who had remained in leadership, and I would often wonder if I made a mistake. Chronic social comparison activates the same stress response pathway as physical threat. It elevates the stress hormone cortisol, it undermines self-efficacy, and it's linked to a higher rate of anxiety and depression in midlife women. So after 50, I learned that I have enough data about myself to stop using other people's lives as my reference point. Your health, your career, your relationship, do it on your pace. Build the next chapter against your own rules and values and not someone else's highlight reel. Habit 9, protect your brain. This is so important to me because after 50, cognitive protection becomes active work. The Lancet Commission on Dementia identified 14 modifiable risk factors that together account for approximately 45% of dementia cases worldwide. Most of these are lifestyle related. These include things like physical inactivity, poor sleep, social isolation, hypertension, obesity, smoking, excessive alcohol, depression, and low education. Simple things that I've added that you can include right away include things like daily reading, learning new skills, daily exercise or movement, better sleep, being intentional about social connection. A simple thing that I've done, like getting a standing desk so that I'm not sitting for long periods of time. These are your brain's best defense against a disease that we currently don't have a cure for. Prevention is actually the treatment. Habit 10 is to schedule your preventative care before you have symptoms. I've shared here before that years ago, during a routine screen, I found out I was pre-diabetic. Thankfully, with the use of lifestyle strategies, I've reversed that and it's long gone. But, think about the fact that had I not gone in for routine screen, that pre-diabetes could have progressed to diabetes, right? And that would have been devastating, right? There are many people walking around the same way. So by scheduling your preventative care, you're giving yourself a chance to find things before they're a problem. After 50, some of the standard screening include blood pressure, fasting glucose, insulin and lipid panel, bone density, colonoscopy, skin checks, eye check, dental exam. These are just a few of the screening, and you want to talk with your own health professional about what screening is important for you. Get the data and take action. By the way, if you've reached this far, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share this video with another woman over 50 that you believe might benefit from some of this information. Habit 11 is to get serious about hydration. Seems like a simple thing, but so important. The studies show that about 40% of adults are walking around underhydrated. As we get older, the thirst mechanism doesn't kick in like before, so you might be dehydrated without even knowing it. Dehydration, even at 1 to 2% of body weight, can affect your cognitive performance, your energy, your digestion, your blood pressure regulation, and your kidney function. When I worked in the hospital, I could go an entire day with drinking very little water. And by the end of the day, I would have this whopping, pounding headache. Now I try to be intentional about hydrating, and the difference in how I feel and how my skin looks is actually noticeable. A practical target is half your body's weight in ounces of water daily, adjusted for activity and heat. One simple strategy that I found to be effective is to get a large bottle of water, fill it at the beginning of the day, and the goal is to empty it by the end of the day. Other people will use things like an app, a reminder app. Whatever you do, set a goal for adequate hydration. Talk with your doctor about what's optimal hydration for you. Remember that certain cardiac conditions or kidney conditions can affect how much water you're supposed to consume. Habit 12 is to keep learning and stay curious. Think of your brain like a savings account. Every time you learn something new, or you pick up a new skill, or you challenge your mind, you're making a deposit. Scientists call this the cognitive reserve. And the more you build over time, the more protected your brain is against memory loss and decline. The good news is it's never too late to start making those deposits. Things like education, learning a new skill, learning a new language, going for creative pursuits. These all contribute. My husband and I, for example, we've decided to take up learning new languages together. We're looking at Spanish and French, and it's particularly important for me because I do volunteer at a free clinic. Many of those patients speak French and Spanish, so that's going to be helpful. The other thing is I go to a library and I learn painting, also learning pickleball, right? I don't see these as hobbies. They're really investments in my brain that will carry me through the next several decades. And the research actually is clear about this. People who stay curious, they stay sharper. So tell me in the comments, what do you plan to take up in order to continue to protect your brain? And habit number 13 is to develop purpose beyond work. The Japanese concept of ikigai, loosely translated as reason for being, has been studied extensively in the context of longevity, and research from Tohoku University found that people with a strong sense of purpose had significantly lower rates of even cardiovascular disease and risk of death. For me, purpose include many things, such as creating these educational content for women over 50, volunteering at a free clinic, helping to develop lifestyle programs to prevent chronic diseases, learning and growing and experiencing more things. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be genuine. All right? So here's what I want you to take away from this. You don't have to do all of these perfectly. The research on habit actually shows that starting with 2 or 3 consistent behavior create the neurologic foundation that makes additional habits easier to add over time. These habits have been instrumental in changing my health in life, and the studies support them. So just pick whatever resonates with you. Pick 1 or 2 and start there. And again, build the evidence in your own body. The science is clear. Making these healthy choices now can affect how you live later.